put this on your to-do list of finding like 10 to 20 that you truly love their content, because we're not just following people who have hundreds of thousands of followers just to hope that we get visible in their audience. That's not what we want. The ultimate goal with doing this strategy is to be able to add to the conversation. So whether that's in an Instagram live or on their stories and you're responding to them in the DMs or on their posts and in the comments. That by far was the biggest reason why I grew. It was not a viral post. It was not consistency, which yes, those help, don't get me wrong, and those can be a fast track, I guess you could say, but ultimately it's finding your other leaders and building that strong community, really viewing leaders as community and connection instead of competition.
How to get your first 50K, 100K, and 200K followers on Instagram. Everybody on the screen, not me, but everybody else has actually hit certain milestones to that point and beyond. So I thought it would be really interesting if we could actually get into the mind of individuals who have reached that milestone and kind of get a few different tips, because not everybody uses the same strategy to get to that certain point. And I think everybody here has a different perspective on how they reach those milestones and will be willing and able to share a little bit of that insight with everybody watching. One of the major things on Instagram is we're always trying to grow our community, trying to grow our reach, and just get a little bit larger, whether it's on our fan base, our audience. And like I'm using the word community a lot because I like to call our followers a community. Everybody has a different role in that community. But we're going to get into our conversation right now all about how to reach those specific milestones of followers on Instagram. The first question is, what is one major factor that you believe helped you reach your large audience? And would you suggest others to do it as well?
So I really put a lot of thought into this before we started, because I don't always focus on following, and I don't often talk about it a lot in my marketing, because like what you said, like I think I'm more of community and the people that I'm serving. And I really believe that, people have like, even if you have like 10 followers, right? If you serve those 10 people well, by serving those 10 people well, you're naturally going to grow. You're going to attract more like people. You'll find more of that following just by serving well. So for me, that's like always how it starts, is really putting out the content that's really going to serve my audience well, to really make it something where they feel like they could walk away and actually achieve something after they read my content. I've really tried to make it actionable step by step. I use a lot of examples and I try to bring them into the conversation. Are you struggling with this? Oh, do you have this problem too? Like however I can help them. And then I just try to create like a really clear picture for them of like, this is why something is that way. And there's like even if there's a couple of different ways to do it, like I will help them prioritize their own content marketing, rather than saying like, if you do this, you could have 50,000 followers. I'm more of like, here are some strategies, find the ones that work for you. How could you experiment with this? How could you take charge of your marketing? And really, just empowering them. And then they share it, and then they bring more of their friends and they tag their friends in the comments. And like I said, it's like if you're just thinking serve like your people well, like your people will bring in other people.
Yes, and I think you mentioned two key words that I really relate to. It's empower and help, because both of those things take you out of the equation and you're more focused on those that are around you and trying to help them ultimately and empower them in a position where they can start doing it on their own.
Yeah, I think I could probably piggyback a little bit as she was talking. Like, I think that the empowerment is huge. And one of the things that I recognize is people were following and reacting to my content. I would get a lot of DMs that would say, I shared this with my aunt. I shared this with my cousin. I shared this with my ladies group at Bridge last week. Those kinds of things really helped to grow. That made it a spectacular that was just a spectacular thing that kind of organically happened. That's not really a strategy. It's just you hope that you come across in a way that people recognize, hey, I needed this information. I know someone else that needs this information too. And so I would always encourage them in my weekly lives, hey, make sure to share this with somebody that needs it, or send it off. I'm big about sharing to other people. And I think the other thing about growing was making sure that what I was providing was easy access information. So it wasn't anything that was too difficult. I really kind of, I hate to say niche down. I hear so many people say that phrase. It's so, it's not necessarily that, but I think once I discovered that the need was so large, and then I just I hit that home and I'm like, okay, this went really well. What else? And then just started making the list of content, listening to what my DMs were saying, what are they asking for, and really engaging them. I love being able to, it is, this is another point I think that she made was, it's important to grow your audience, but it's also important to engage the audience that you already have. And I think that some people miss that. They're like, I just want those big numbers. I want those big numbers. But then they completely forget, well, what about these people? What about these people that are already following me? Don't they deserve something more than just getting hooked into my content? So I tried to make sure I'm delivering assets and different things that, takeaways that they can, I know I want to go see what Jen put today because last week it was this, and who knows what she's going to do this week. Trying to nurture that audience as well. Finding your niche and empowerment.
How you empower, how you inspire, how you educate, how you make people feel a part of something more and as if they can really add to something. It's all going to be different based on how you like to show up. And I don't think that's spoken about enough. So I love that you guys shared that in different ways.
Empowerment is huge.
So I'm going to share my best tip. I actually just shared this as a reel the other day. I started to create a series of Instagram growth hacks that actually will grow your following, because just raise your hand here, like in the comments and on screen. Does it not irritate you when you see those Instagram growth reels about tips to grow your Instagram and it's like a story, like how to create a cute story? I create cute story reels. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that style of content, but that's not how you grow your Instagram. So this one I just shared about how connecting with other leaders in your niche and sister niches, people who aren't maybe the exact same, but they're kind of a sidecar of what you teach, someone that goes hand in hand with what you teach. So for instance, I teach social media marketing, Instagram growth, and strategies for you to grow and monetize. Someone that would be a sidecar for me would be somebody who's an expert in Instagram Live, somebody who's an expert in marketing, someone who's an expert in video, something a little bit different, right? And connecting with them, but going a step further to put this on your to-do list of finding like 10 to 20 that you truly love their content. Okay, I want you to take some time to actually find people you like, because we're not just following people who have hundreds of thousands of followers just to hope that we get visible in their audience. That's not what we want, because the ultimate goal with doing this strategy is to be able to add to the conversation person is creating content around. So whether that's in an Instagram Live or on their stories and you're responding to them in the DMs or on their posts and in the comments, it's finding ways to connect with these people almost every day, because what they're putting out you agree with, or maybe you don't fully agree, but you have something to add, something to connect a little bit deeper and create that engaging conversation. And doing this really helps because yes, you get seen by their audience because you're going to be showing up in not just the comments, but actually suggested content as well, because Instagram starts to tie you together. But you also are going to build that relationship with that leader. So you're going to get invited to do collaborations. You're going to have funny conversations in the DMs where you get shouted out on their stories. You're going to be able to be recommended by them because they trust you, right? There's so many benefits to that. And that by far was the biggest reason why I grew. It was not a viral post. It was not consistency, which yes, those help. Don't get me wrong. And those can be a fast track, I guess you could say. But ultimately, it's finding your other leaders and building that strong community, really viewing leaders as community and connection instead of a competition.
You said exactly what I was going to follow up with. Once you find somebody else that's in your same vertical, immediately look at them as that's an enemy. That's somebody that's going to take my money from my pockets, in regards to my business. And I think we have to really change that mindset. I've never looked at other people as competitors. I looked at them as collaborators. There's an opportunity when you find somebody else in the same vertical as you, because they're never exactly the same. And that difference that might make them slightly different can help you and the same goes vice versa. And I think that's one of the major ways that someone can grow on Instagram is when you do all of these collaborative efforts. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. We're on a 4-person IG Live right now with a very strong community. I'm seeing the numbers going up and down, and I'm seeing people come in and out, and it's some of Megan's audience is coming in and they're discovering Jen and Cindy and myself. And I think collaborative efforts like this, part of Instagram, and they just try to do it so much more in all of their content formats. Like Megan said, I think we got to change our mindset in regards to those that we look at as competition and look at for the opportunity that we could discover. And maybe there's something else that we could both bring to the table. And at the end of the day, as Cindy stated, empower and help the audiences that we both combined have. I hope that everybody got some insight from our conversation today, all about how to get your first 50K followers, 100K, and 200K followers. With all of the strategies and tips that were shared today by Cindy, Jen, and Megan, I think you guys are going to be able to, as I always say, step your gram up to the next level and move forward as you build your community.
All right, I'm so excited for this game. I would love for our guests to play along, plus the audience. So if you are in the audience and you are able to type in your answer, please feel free to do so. It is called Name That Social, and it's going to be anything that has to do with social media, whether it's a specific platform, a feature, content, current day or old, something around social media. And I'm going to give you 3 clues. After I'm done with the 3rd clue, tell me your answer of what social platform or feature I am speaking about. All right, so the first one is an old social media platform that the founder's name was Tom. You were able to put music on your feed and you had your top friends list.